Hopefully some more folks will in. My name is Taylor Watson, and I'm with the Northwood Lake Homeowners Association. And Calvin and I were talking a couple of months ago and thought it would be a good idea to get the candidates together and let y'all meet and greet and talk with them. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking. I want the candidates to come up in a couple of minutes and talk about yourself, introduce yourself, and then we'll take some questions from folks out in the audience. It's just going to be very relaxed. And whoever wants to start first, I guess we should go by district. Do you want to, your district first? Do y'all want to start first? Where'd Robbie go? Right. Okay. You want to go first? A couple minutes. Okay.
All right, good evening. I appreciate everyone coming out tonight. My name is Robbie Davis, and I'm running for City Council District 4. I was born and raised here. I grew up just right over the hill over here on Indian Springs Avenue. Spent most of my time in the summer right down here at the pool. My dad delivered the mail here in Northwood Lake for about 30 years up until 1990 when he retired. He was a public servant, and I'm a public servant. I've been a public servant for 34 years now. 29 of those years I've been a leader in this community, state, and this nation. And I just want to further my leadership skills right here in Northport. I think Northport needs good, strong new leadership and someone that'll listen to the needs of our residents. My push cards, if I haven't got to your house yet, I'll get to it within the next week. I've canvassed a lot of Northwood Lake, and I still got a few more roads to go. But my number's on my push card, and I did that for a reason, because I receive a lot of phone calls, issues and concerns. Northwood Lake, Forest Glen, Meadow Lake, Huntington Place, all that, and I go see these folks because they got a lot of concerns. So that's what I'm running for, to be your public servant. Thank you.
Thanks to the Homeowners Association for holding this forum. I really appreciate you inviting me to be here to speak. My name is Tracy Kelly. I'm running for District 4. I was born in Tuscaloosa County. I actually graduated from Brookwood High School, so Tuscaloosa has been my home for a long time. We moved to Northport in 2002, and we've been here for 14 years. Our children were raised here in Northport. They've gone to the schools here in Northport, and we have two that are in college. They graduated from County High in 2013, and we have a young one that's still at Huntington Place. I work with Alabama Power. I've been there for 17 years. I have a degree in business from the University of Alabama. I'm currently pursuing my MBA from Stanford University. I became interested in running for office last summer whenever Steve Acker, our representative, vacated because he moved out of district. I did interview at that time for the position. Bert Sims was appointed, but he is not running. So I decided to go ahead and wage a campaign for the office whenever that transpired. But I have a strong customer focus, a strong customer base. It's what I've done the majority of my career. I'm interested in changing the focus back to the residents. I want to represent them. I want to make sure that their voice is heard. I love Northport. People say that you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. And we've chosen Northport. This is where we like to be. We had an opportunity to move away from here a few years ago, and we chose not to do that because we like being in this community. All I want to do is I want to see this community improve. I want everyone to have a voice, and I want everyone to be engaged, and I want to make sure that I represent you well in that position.
Rodney, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll make the rules.
There are none. Be nice. Be nice.
Thank you, guys. I'm Rodney Sullivan, running for Northport City Council District 3. I'd like everybody to meet my son Parker, who is 4. He's the Spider-Man guy riding around. I work so much during the week, and even on the weekends, I don't really get a whole lot of time at home. So any chance I get to spend with him or my other son, we just had a 2-month-old. We have a 2-month-old at home, so certainly want to take every opportunity I can to spend with my kids when I have the opportunity. So anyway, so I'm running for re-election for Northport City Council District 3, which, as far as Northwood Lake goes, it is the east side of the lake from here back to 69. You know, over the past 4 years, we've really made a ton of accomplishments throughout District 3, and very proud of that. We have a lot of work to do moving forward. You know, we have several drainage projects and resurfacing projects and simple things that really is not going to, it's really going to help us moving forward. I think that we're in a really good position moving forward to really be successful. We've certainly been able to bring a lot of jobs into the city, especially District 3 here lately. And like I said, we're just in a really good position, and you know, I really enjoy working with the citizens, whether it be a big or small issue, just making sure that they're able to receive the finest city services possible. That's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, making sure that they receive the best services from the city that we can provide them. So, like I said, I very much enjoyed the last 4 years. I'm very much looking forward to the next 4 years. We have a lot of work to do. We've made a lot of progress, and we want to keep moving forward and continue to be. We want to continue to be proactive and progressive in District 3. That's what we've done. That's what we're going to continue to do. So, thank you.
Is Joe here?
Yeah.
I saw you come in, sorry.
That's okay.
Is that loud enough? Do I need to turn this up some more?
We get up a little bit.
How about that?
Thank y'all for letting me be here tonight. My name is Joe Willingham. I'm running for District 3 Council. I'm originally born here, been raised here all my life. I'm a 1986 graduate of West End Christian High School. I retired December the 29th from Northport Fire Rescue. I retired as a lieutenant. 10 days later, I went back to work, like we all have to. I'm currently employed right now with Spacer North America. We make the exhaust systems for the Mercedes vehicles. I have a wife, Dana, 2 beautiful daughters, Isabella and Caitlin, and a wonderful son, Josh. The reason I'm running for councilman for District 3, I'd like to see more transparency in our government. And I'd like to make our city more progressive economically, build a stronger tax base. Over the past couple months of talking with some of the folks in Northport, I think we've lost a little bit, or take for granted, I guess, with the small business owners in the city of Northport. I feel like there needs to be competition also with this. And I'm all for recruiting big business to make us a stronger tax base. More than anything that I'd like to do over the next couple of years, if I am elected, I want to hear your voice, and you tell me exactly what you would like to see in government, and I want to continue to help you. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to hear from the candidates for mayor. Should we do this alphabetically, or? Mayor, why don't you start us off?
Good afternoon. I'm Bobby Herndon, and I am a land surveyor with the company Herndon Dixon Associates. I've been a surveyor for 44 years. Currently, I'm doing projects in 7 states. God has greatly blessed my business. But in the past 8 years, the citizens of Northport have chosen me to be their mayor, and I have been most humbled. It has been a fantastic journey over these 8 years. Relationships, let me talk about that. I know as far as relationships with the city of Tuscaloosa, Tuscaloosa County, the state of Alabama, the University of Alabama, are better than they have ever been. A couple of years ago, meeting with Mayor Maddox and Judge McCullum, Mayor Maddox produced a point, said, Bobby, right now Northport is the lead domino. And I really didn't know what he was talking about. And he said, you ever lined up dominoes one after the other? And then thumped them over. I said, yeah. He said, right now, Northport is the driving force in the county. He said, you were first, and then us and the county are lined up behind you. And I want to keep that going. I want everybody to recognize that Northport is the driving force. We've had a great council the past 8 years. Our fire departments, our police departments have the best, most modern equipment than they have ever had. We've been able to build new fire departments. As far as our monies, our audit, if anybody's interested in the true financial picture of Northport, please come to the council meeting Monday night. The auditors presented to the finance committee on Thursday their audit. It's been slow in coming, but there were some factors that made it be slow this time. But if you want to know the true financial picture, please come to the council meeting Monday night. People can talk, well, this is where you are, this is where you are, but come find out for yourself. I would encourage you to do that. Businesses, of course, they follow residential growth. Right now, Northport is a hot spot. We have, within, say, a 2.5 mile radius of Winn-Dixie and 43, we have 700 new lots, either under construction or in the planning stage. 700. We have businesses that are looking to relocate in that area. I'm talking about nice businesses. We have nice businesses looking all across the city. There's some things that Councilman Sullivan and I can't talk about because of confidentiality of some great things that want to make Northport home. It'd be a great quality of life product, not only for Northport, but for Pickens County, Fayette County, Walker County, Lamar County, everybody driving through Northport. It's a great time right now. But I have enjoyed being the mayor. I would like to stay the mayor. But as far as my opponents, I want to tell them all, I'm not running against anybody. I'm not. We all got our goals. We all got our ambitions. I wish them all the best, and thank you for listening to me.
I'm Donna Aaron, and I'm obviously running for the office of mayor. I have lived in Northport for 50+ years, and during that time, my husband, who was raised here, hometown fellow, I was at the university and started teaching in the county, and at that point we met and we married. We have 2 sons. Both of them are teachers, one in the county system, one at Shelton State. I've taught, as I said, in the county system for 30 years, and during that time I was a part-time adjunct instructor at the University of Alabama, which I'm still doing that. I just can't seem to get the teaching out of my blood. And I also do with the athletic department. I teach tutor math. I was on the council from 92 to 2000, and during that time, those 8 years, 5 of those, I was president of the council. During those 8 years, we accomplished lots of things. We, of course, worked with the city and the county, and recruiting Mercedes to come here. We worked with the city and the county to form that solid waste landfill out on 82, and then once that authority was formed, we backed away and let the authority run that landfill. It was important that that become an independent operation from any of the governing bodies. We also contributed $5 million to the present TCHS. We established the Rose Fine Arts Initiative, which gave money to the schools, the middle schools, the elementary schools, to enhance their arts project, whether it's arts, music, drama, whatever they wanted. It provided them some extra funds to do that. We had the levee built. After the levee was built, we worked with the downtown merchants and those citizens downtown to refurbish and to upgrade downtown Northport with the idea that we would eventually go on down to the river and develop all of that property. We had talked with the county board at one point about obtaining the 3 school properties there, and they seemed to be fine with that. We were just not able to get that done in our 8 years that we were there. We purchased a new city shop, which is out on Harper Road. The shop property at the time was in downtown. Every time it rained very hard, it flooded. So they couldn't get to the equipment that they needed. So we had no choice but to provide them somewhere for their working equipment. It has been a wonderful investment. We've had some acreage out there which allowed it to expand, and we've also were able to rent some of that out. We started the building of the new fire station up at GCHS. We also started the building of a new police station, which they are presently in. And that building that they were in before that police station was built was absolutely horrible. It was falling in. You couldn't stop the rain. You couldn't put a new roof on it. Nothing would work. We accomplished a lot of things over those years, and this just seemed to be a good time to come back into the political arena and try to make a difference again. I think we are lacking in some areas of our retail development that we need desperately to achieve. We do not have a lot of things that we need here to keep our tax dollars here and bring new tax dollars to our city. I've heard people say, if I didn't have to cross that bridge, I wouldn't, but I have to. And we are not providing those kinds of businesses that we need to provide for our citizens. I think Northwood has grown, and that residential area definitely has grown. But I think as far as our retail, we have set the bar very low, and we have not attracted the kind of businesses that we need to have here for our citizens and the people that we want to come here to live. I think we have a very good working relationship, not only with the other two governing bodies in the county, but also with the County Board of Education. I think there are some things that we can do beyond the school system that I personally think is a pretty terrible idea. But at any rate, that's just some of the things I'm interested in doing. Thank you.
By the way, there are some bottled waters in the coolers if anybody wants one. Help yourself.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? My name is Woodrow Washington. I'm from Northport. Been a long-time resident of Northport. I was born in California. We moved here when I was 5. Moved back. My mom was from here, but I graduated from Tuscaloosa County High School. Went through the Northport system. Also, in 1991, I went to the United States Air Force, active duty, got out in 95. And after that, I spent 16 years in the Air Force Reserve, where I retired as the United States, where I retired as Master Sergeant in 2011. Did 20 years. At that time in 96, I also got hired on with Tuscaloosa Fire and Rescue Service. I retired from there this year, this April, with 20 years, and I retired as a fire captain. I also attended Stillman College, graduated with a bachelor's in business. I'm known to Archballs and Woodrows. I've also coached Little League football from 96 until about 2 years ago. I finished coaching out at Riverside. I'm a small business owner, and what I'm looking to do is be a big part of the city. You know, I want to be a voice for the citizens. I also want to be a voice for the employees. I want to be a voice for the small business. I've worked hard in the fire service, and I'm real skilled in the emergency management also. So I can bring to the table when it's time, like God forbid, another tornado as we get all the time. But what I'm looking to do is listen to different people. You know, to me, we have to hear the people's problems. You know, Northwood Lake ready to tell me what's your problem. You know, what's wrong? How can I help you? And I promise you, without a doubt, I will do everything I can to try to make it happen. I also want to connect the city with City Hall. And you know, we was in a forum the other day, and I mentioned it's easy to connect the city, just website or some type of IT issues. Everybody don't want to go to council meeting every time. You know, we can't make it sometimes, and it's easy to just put the agenda on the service, and you guys can look for it, you know, and decide if you want to go, want to hear what's going on. I believe in new retail development is well needed. You know, and I know everybody thinks about the riverfront, but sometimes we gotta walk away from the riverfront and look down other places, down McFarland, and find different places that we can bring retail in. You know, we all go shopping. Sometimes we're forced to go, but and we all go shopping. Travel to different places just to shop. You know, today I couldn't tell you what Northwood Lake be, but I believe quarter and have a meeting at different places in Northport. You know, if it's District 1, District 2, District 3, District 4, District 5. You know, my job is listen to the whole city. And you know, win or lose, we need to hold our representatives accountable. The ones running for council, myself running for mayor. If I get the job, make sure, you know, you hold me accountable. Because they'll get the position and then forget about everything that we can say. I mean, I wouldn't. So when the times come, August 23rd, I'm looking for your vote. You know, we have to work together. I'm pro-police, pro-fire, pro-city employee. I was a city employee for 20 years. I understand. I'm also a citizen. I understand that we should have better services. And everybody complain about different services in the city. We have to give some input, let them know if it's garbage, if it's road crews, you know, if it's city hall service, if it's police, fire. You have to give some input, and to me, the services can get a little bit better, and a lot of stuff comes with training. You know, one thing that most city employees always upset about is their wages. So you always have to look at that every year if it's possible in the city government. I appreciate y'all having me today. Sorry about being a little late. I was coming from a family gathering. Sorry about the shorts. It was a little warm. I told my wife, she said, I ironed for that.
I just want to know why you bring barbecue.
That's on the next one. But I'm running on transparency. I'm running on citizen, not politician. And I promise you, you know, people been asking about the city administrator, if the mayor turns into that. I probably wouldn't run at all because I couldn't do the city administrator job. I wouldn't try to do the city administrator job. You know, it takes a little bit more, you know, to be a city administrator. I'm for mayor, I'm for city administrator, either one. One thing that can't happen, that should ever happen again, so one man is bigger than the city of North. That should never happen. So if I'm the mayor, I'm not bigger than the city of North. You know, we gotta have our checks and balances, and we also gotta have physical accountability about our money, and we should know about it. And I'm not gonna push about water rates, but water's a little too high in my opinion. So, and that's coming from a citizen. I think we need to look at that also, and not always raising the water rate just at all. If it's needed, it's needed. But if not, we need to let it be and kind of give everybody a break. But I appreciate y'all. Thank you, sir.
Harvey, you want to go? Is Frank here?
Yeah, I'm here. Let Harvey go ahead.
I don't have my glasses.
I want to go last.
All right, make Harvey whichever way you want.
I planned on taking an hour and a half.
Get the hook out.
I'm Harvey Preble, and I was born and raised in Tuscaloosa County. Graduated from the University of Alabama, attended Troy State College for a number of years, and settled in Northport and married my beautiful wife, Frida. This coming 19th, okay, we'll be married 49 years.
Awesome.
And I'm very, very fortunate. I'm well behaved, I should say. There are three things that I don't do. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I'm too afraid of my wife to run around. But I have got involved in politics actually through my job. I was a director of community relations with the mental health department. I was the guy when you pick up the paper and it says a spokesman for said, I thought that was my name. But I worked with them for over 32 years. enjoyed it immensely. But I have three things I'd really like to talk about. One is our employees. Two is our water service. And three is the word that we talked about. Everyone that stood up here has talked about transparency. I'm going to start with that one. The problem I have with the word transparency is that we shouldn't have to mention it. It should be automatic. That's the responsibility for the mayor and the council to see that things don't happen. We had a city administrator who pretty much did things the way he wanted to do it and could care less about the citizens of this community. And that's one of the reasons that I am for a mayor council and a city clerk. City clerk does exactly the same thing as the city administrator. And I think that's important. Again, transparency, we shouldn't have to stand up here and talk about transparency. That should come automatic. That's what the city is about. As a mayor, I'll see that we get transparency. The other night in the audit, or when they were talking about the audit at City Hall, one of the things really disturbed me, and that was our water issues. The auditor came in and said, your water is making you money. And I have never seen a city where water doesn't make a city money. It's something that people are willing to pay for. Fresh, clean drinking water. But the words that came after that was, y'all ought to go up on the water system. Y'all ought to go up on the water rates because it's making the city money. Well, it's a sad point when we have to depend on the city's water system to carry us buying new automobiles, buying paving roads. That's supposed to come out of the general fund. One of the things that has been talked about is that our city's growing homes and houses. Well, do you know that every house that goes up costs the city money? It's not put up free. And it doesn't make the city money because you've got to have police, you've got to have water and sewer, you've got to have traffic pickup, you've got to have firemen. All of that costs. It's not free. The last thing I want to mention is our employees. And I think that's probably one of the reasons I'm standing here in front of you tonight is because the way the employees have been treated within the city of Northport. They've been talked down to. They've been harassed. They've been treated like their stepchildren. And that's something that shouldn't be tolerated. If you want a good job done, you treat your people with respect. You treat them with dignity. You treat them with understanding. And you don't, if they don't wear the right clothes to work one day, you don't fire them. Every day that an employee comes to work, he's scared to death that he's not going to have a job when he leaves that evening. I want to leave that with you. And I thank you very much for inviting us here.
Frank?
Yeah.
You be there, Harvey.
There's several. Well, let me introduce myself. Some of you know me. I've been on the Northwood Lake Board, Association Board at times, and we've got showers here when we've gotten several things done, the new tennis court and everything like that. I enjoy living here in Northwood Lake area. It's a nice area. It's good for the families and everything, and we have surely enjoyed it over the years. I graduated here from the University of Alabama in engineering and spent 4 years down West Palm Beach at Pratt & Whitney Aircraft Research and Development working on SR-71. It was at the end the fastest plane in the world, and did a lot of work on that I enjoyed, and it was an experience. It was hard to believe at the time. And then I came back up here to the University of Alabama and got my master's in business administration and worked for the Alabama Power Company. And my last job with Alabama Power Company, I was a specialist working with commercial and industrial representatives that went out here and worked with the commercial businesses, the industrial businesses, and helping them so they would be more profitable and that they would get the service to them that they needed. Since then, I reckon I've run for office several times. This last time I run against Gerald Allen for state senate. And one thing I told people then was that they're about $300,000 short, $300 million rather short. And people kept telling me, Gerald says that that's been all fixed down there, that they fixed all the finances down there. And I knew he was lying at the time. And now they come back and they need about $300,000 in order to patch their budget. And I'm running, one thing, the mayor is a leadership job. It's not really getting down into the day-to-day things here with Northwood Lake and the city of Northport. And in providing that leadership, I'm taking a little different tack than these other people have taken, that I would like to use the position of mayor of Northport to push for a lottery. And I'd like to see that the lottery, the trouble with the lottery they're trying to push through now is that they want to dump it all in the general budget. We need roads, and to get that, we need to have about a third of that money allotted to roads, a third of it allotted for education, and a third of it allotted to the general budget or Medicaid or whatever else they need. And because this extra 1 cent they went in and put in part of this money into a transportation group here in Northport and Tuscaloosa is not going to be enough money to really make any kind of dent in the kind of road problems we have here in Northport. But if we get, and you got to realize, the federal folks will often match 85 cents or 15 cents from the state. So there's a lot of money that the state of Alabama just lets go by every year. Maybe in the billions of dollars they let go by because they could, if they had a lottery, and could use that money to do that. And also, I know Bobby here has talked about a new school system here, and we really don't need that. We need somebody that can go down and use the position of mayor and go down to the County Board of Education and all and say, hey, we've got a problem. We got a problem that kids don't know their multiplication tables. When they go to take their higher level math and all, they can't get their parents to help them because they've got this new Common Core math, which is terrible. And it's awful. And we need somebody that can get up and stand up and say, hey, a change needs to be made. My daughter hired a girl recently for her business, and the girl didn't know how to sign her name. And it's because they, for years, haven't been teaching cursive writing and cursive. She didn't know how to read it. If you wrote it cursively, she wouldn't know how to read that document. And she's a senior, graduated here this last year from the county school system. It's pitiful. And so if we address those issues, I think we'd see our scores going up, both in math and both in English also. And,
Give you one more minute.
give me one more minute. One thing I'd like to say is, as far as going downtown Northport, I'd like to see that we go down there, make arrangements with the people that are, that own land down there that's open, the city that opens land. I'd like to have that be free parking spaces for RVs during the weekends that Alabama has home games. We get the people down there, allow them to have food trucks down there, and then we can go and we draw the people, we can show the developers, people will come across the river and be in Northport, then that area will develop. You've got to show the developers that it can be done first, and the people will come across the river. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to take questions from everybody. I guess if you have a question for a council, running for council, we'll let everybody answer that. But if you have a question for the mayor, we'll handle it that way. Everybody won't be answering the same question. That makes sense. So we can kind of move this along. Anybody have a question? Want to start us off?
My question is,
Is it to the mayors or to the council?
well, I guess this would go to the mayor, but the council could, input too. Is why Northport is not trying to annex other areas, because you go down 43, the city limit stops here, and you go down several miles and it picks up again. But we got areas out here, and I don't think
So
they're
your
on-
question, I'm sorry, your question is, you wonder why we're not annexing?
annexing some more areas.
Do y'all want to start that first?
Yeah.
I'll be short and sweet on this one. The reality is you can. The city of Tuscaloosa has the ability to force annexations. The city of Northport does not. So until a property owner comes to the city, and either wants to annex, or the way we've been doing it lately is you come to the city wanting water service, that's one of the things that we're requiring of you to go ahead and annex in the city. You're right, if you look at the city of Northport map overall, it's a checkerboard. Just take District 3, you can go right up the road and you're back in the county. That's certainly something we're fighting very hard to correct. And like I said, it's very difficult. It is a problem. And piece by piece, we've slowly started to improve that. That's pretty much it. The city doesn't have the ability to force that.
Annexation of a road that has 3 or 4 houses on it, if it benefits first the residents and then can be beneficial, for the city, I would be for it. I know there was a little road, I can't remember, it's been a long time ago, but there was a little road back behind the blue plate, right back in there somewhere that they annexed. But I think it benefited a business back there and a couple of homes, and I'm for annexation for little places like that. One dirt road that hadn't been annexed yet. But sewer and water goes along with annexation, and you most definitely want to pave those roads. We got roads here in the city of Northport right now that's not paved, and we need to take care of those folks as much as we need to take care of our neighborhoods. So we're not necessarily neighborhoods, but they're roads within District 5 and District 4. And we need to pay as much attention to them as we pay to the rest of our neighborhoods.
Well, I agree with you. If I could annex everybody into Northport, I would, because I think it's great. But, I serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission, have served there since October, and I can echo what Rodney's saying. As things come through, we are annexing those properties into the city at that time. We just recently did that. I think last month we had a property owner who was going to be building a house, and they wanted water service and sewer service, so we annexed them into the city limits. So I support it. I would love to have them all in here, but if we can't, the city can't force it. We can't make them do it, but we definitely could encourage it and maybe find some ways that would entice people to want to be annexed in.
Got to offer some type of incentive they're gonna receive.
Councilman Sullivan's right about this. This is a bigger problem, and it's not like you have, especially up around the Lake Tuscaloosa area, a lot of that's in the city of Tuscaloosa. It's not like the city can just come in and say we're going to annex it. So Councilman Sullivan is right on this. It's a big problem. It's an issue that does need to be addressed, but it's not something that the city automatically has the ability to do. Folks, you wouldn't believe the times we was at the fire department. We'd leave out of here at Station 2 and go towards Lake Tuscaloosa. You'd answer a call from the right side of the road. But if you step across Highway 69, you were in the county. But if you went a little bit further up around Lake Tuscaloosa, you were in the city of Tuscaloosa. So it's like Councilman Sullivan said, it's just like checkerboard all over the city of Northport. But that's something truly, like Councilman Sullivan said, the city does not have the authority to do.
Carol 43, what the news answer to areas?
The fire district,
Yeah.
they go up everything that is Larry Lake Road, the back south, and everything that is north on 69 and 43 is going towards north side. And when you get into the Samantha Fire District,
Yeah.
everything that is west going Bone Camp Road, and then you run into Mount Holly. And believe it or not, they come down as far as Andertown Road, right over here off of 69. That's another thing I was saying. You might leave out of here, Station 2 might get a call, we've done it 1,000 times. Go up here and get on Barnes Settlement Road, but when you go around the curve right there, that is Carroll Springs Fire District. So that's how it's broken up.
Let's see if the mayors, let's see if any of the mayors want to talk about this. Sure.
I understand what you're saying. I believe we should get us a plan together. You know, to me, it's, and I'm pretty sure Tuscaloosa doing it. They already got an idea of what they want, and as soon as they get an opportunity to get it, they're gonna get it. I think we need to start looking at different places that we would like to have and make plans of trying to get it. You know, just like you said, giving them incentives of water, giving them incentives of paving their roads. Police and fire that's there. You know, most likely if they call for help, and if it's a fine line, we're going anywhere. In Tuscaloosa, I mean, I make so many runs up here, and I got lost. You know, when I had a store up on Union Chapel up there, I didn't know if I was paying. I had Northwood address, Camp Street Water, Tuscaloosa receiving the tax money. You know, so we know who's in charge, who's receiving the tax money. So I honestly think that we should go out, draw a map, decide what we want in the future, and try to make a plan about getting it. It's all about looking out later. You know, if you can't get it now, try and get it as soon as you can.
Anybody else?
Yeah, can y'all hear me if I stand here? Is it okay? One of the things that a lot of people don't understand, particularly about these pockets, is what I call them in the middle of the city. I don't think that there is a city in the state of Alabama, and maybe not even in America, that doesn't have these pockets. I learned a long time ago that there are two things you don't talk to people about. One is their dogs, and the other is their landlines. Because the biggest problem, and the city of Tuscaloosa, I want to say it's been 5, 6, 7 years ago, tried to get legislation passed to annex the pockets that they have. They got a lot of little pockets. I mean, right in the middle of the city where it's county. And we have the same thing. Well, the legislators wouldn't touch it at all. And I think that's what we would have to go through. Folks will give you, say, well, my insurance in the city is less than that in the county. And I still get a lot of the city services. That's true. You get fire protection, a lot of times you get police protection. But the big problem has to do with being able to go out and getting these individuals. About the only way anybody's gonna annex to the city is really if they decide to build like a subdivision or a new market or something like that. So it's something that you'll struggle with a long, long time before it ever happens.
Any other candidates?
Well, I'll say this much. A lot of people don't realize it, but the University of Alabama, their people have drawn lines out so far from the campus and so far out. And they're looking at the pieces of property that are within there, and they're gonna buy or get that land if they can. So they've got a plan out in the future. And the same should be, like Woodrow said, for Northport. So you can't get this. You can't make people get in the city. But as we get money for roads and we start to solve our traffic problems and we build roads, we want to look at it and say, hey, this needs to come into Northport. Let's put this high on our priority and maybe try to sell it to those folks sometime in the future.
I do agree with Woodrow that we have got to have a plan to do this, but I think we have to have something in hand when we go to these folks and try to encourage them to come into the city limits. We've got to make it worth their while for them to be in the city. They need to understand that not only do they get fire and police protection, but their insurance goes down because they get a better insurance rating being in the city limits, in addition to the water and sewer and our first responders and all this, but we need to identify those areas that are adjacent to our city limits and see if we can encourage them and make it where they want to come in, that it is worth their while. We are somewhat landlocked with the city of Tuscaloosa, and out 82 we're landlocked with Coker. There's a limit to where we can go. But we can go north 43, and we can go north 69 to a certain point. And the man was telling me the other day, he didn't know where he lived. He had a Northport address, mailed Northport, but he lived in the county, but he had to pay taxes to the city of Tuscaloosa. He lived up on somewhere off of the lake, and no, he didn't really know where he belonged. But at any rate, we need to make it attractive for somebody to come in and explain to them why it's beneficial for them to be in the city. But we need to have a plan to do that.
What everybody says is good, valid points. You know, Northport right now, with 25,000 citizens, is the 20th largest city in the state. If we had all these gaps filled in, we'd be probably the 14th or 15th as far as population in the state. But one of the biggest drawbacks is people have the mindset that if I come in the city, my property taxes are going to go through the roof. And so they'd better stay out. But everybody had great valid points.
Any other questions? Any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a question. Everybody likes to have more business. A couple of years back, there was a discussion about enlarging the airport to get more business here, which is on one hand, of course, a great chance, but on the other hand, this neighborhood would be where the planes fly in. So what is the situation currently with plans about extending it? And what is your position to in regard to that? Would you support it in order to have more business, or would you be rather against it in order to protect some neighborhoods?
No, we're talking about the airport, right? Did I understand you right?
Yes, the airport in Tuscaloosa.
You want to take that one first? No, she's basically asking about if the positives and negatives of bringing more business into the airport. The negatives being if you live in this neighborhood, flights are constantly over. I assume that's what you're talking about.
Not only bringing in more business, but one thing would be bringing in more business. The other plan was to really enlarge the airport in order to get even bigger planes.
Okay.
So first question, is that plan still anywhere on the horizon, or is it off the table? And second, how do you feel about those plans?
Mayor? Did y'all?
I've got
Okay, as far as expanding the airport, of course, that's Tuscaloosa's airport, and as of right now, there are no plans to expand it. You know, several years ago, we had commercial flights in and out. There's been a lot of requests from different people to have 2 or 3 flights in a day. But as far as expanding and making the airport larger, Tuscaloosa does not want to, and it's their airport. As far as what they're looking at the airport is maybe some technology-based businesses that might want to come in to develop different things, but really at this present time wouldn't be creating much, if any, additional air traffic. Hopefully that answered your question on that.
Who wants to tackle that one? Okay.
I mean, I think for the better of the community, I think my house sits dead in that line from Soka Park to the airport. I forget what it's called, and I'm supposed to know all this. But not anymore. I believe I forgot most of it. But it's a beacon to go from Soka Park to the airport. And I promise you, my house is right over there. We look a little by. Hope we don't fall. But I think, you know, just me personally, and it just take the mayor out of it. Citizen of Northport, if it's gonna help business and help jobs, I'm willing personally to sacrifice a little peace of mind. Cause inside my house I can't hear anything. Sitting outside, you know, you hear it all the time. So, you know, it's to me, you know, we have to give something to get something. And the ones who live in this area, including myself, there's one thing we have to deal with is air traffic. So,
Are we answering your question? Are you getting
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they answering it. I mean, they have different positions. I got the information what the situation is.
If that's gonna bring 500 more jobs into Northport and Tuscaloosa.
Woodrow?
Yes,
Have
sir.
you noticed the larger airplanes coming in out of the airport now? Not the little jets, the bigger planes, like this past week? I've seen like a 700 aircraft, you know, holds more than your Lear jets, the bigger planes flying in and out.
Let me tell you about me. When I leave home at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30, I get home at 10 o'clock at night. I wish I could stay home a little bit more, but I miss all that during the day. I'm gone working, but yes, sir, in the evening time when I get a chance to be at home, I see some bigger ones. And,
Well, I've noticed this past week that
Let's let the other people talk. Thanks.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much been summed up. I agree with Woodrow. If you look at the flight line for one of the runways, my house centers it. I see every plane take off and go, especially on volume weekends, is pretty rough. But as far as I see you. We're all watching you, all right? Just to answer your question about the larger commercial aircraft, or not commercial, but aircraft coming in, I'm assuming it has a lot to do with the new manufacturing facilities that have came in around the airport area. So while we don't have a whole lot to do with what goes on within the airport, I certainly appreciate your concern about that. I agree with you. If there was something we could do, we certainly would. So thank you.
Tracy, you want?
I really don't have anything to add to that.
Anybody else want to?
I just say I agree with Woodrow on this, and you got to realize too. I kind of look at them when they go over. I don't hear them in my house. Got it well insulated, but when you see it go across there, you realize, okay, that's a new recruit coming into the University of Alabama for the football team. And you notice that most of those planes, and I helped do a little engineering work on the when they expanded out. They wanted a bigger plane in their hangar, so I did some engineering work on it. And the university is probably one of the biggest traffic folks coming back and forth. And the people making the most sound is that you got to realize they're using training facilities for the aircraft coming out of Columbus. They come over here and land and everything, and they're probably the loudest. And as you go along, a lot of people don't realize that planes are getting quieter than they used to be.
30 more seconds.
That's it.
Okay. Anybody else got a question?
I just still got another question here.
Hang on, just let's let everybody else ask. Right there.
This will be a question that can be quickly answered. If you'd like to know from all the candidates present, do you favor or not favor a Northport City school system? No discussion, just answer, yes or no.
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 Okay.
No.
Not right now, no.
Yes.
Not at all, no.
Say that again, I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
hear
sir,
you.
not at all.
Frank,
Not at all.
anybody else? Did we get that one? Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
sir.
So everybody no except for Mayor, right? Oh, I'm sorry. That was quick. Any more questions?
Question.
Sure.
The mayor talked about having the audit ready for Monday night.
Yes, supposed to be, yeah.
Good. And I've asked for this for years, but why can't the audit and the budget be posted on the website so everybody can see it instead of, us as citizens have to go up there and ask for a copy of it?
Right. Well, Monday night, it's supposed to be presented to the council, then the council vote on it, and it's going to be put on the website. As far as the budget, to answer your question, I don't know why it hasn't been on the website, but if it's me, if it's Donna, if it's Frank, if it's Harvey, if it's Woodrow, I know we'll make sure that it is on there.
Because it hasn't been on there in
Well,
many years.
I don't get on the website that much, but whoever's the mayor, I'm sure it'll be on.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Chuck, the audits since 2008 aren't currently on the city website. I saw them last night. 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They are there. I don't know when they were added, but they are there.
It's been recently.
Yes.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
My wife and I are really new to Northport. I say within the last 5 years we lived here. We lived in Tuscaloosa City for a couple of years. So we moved back here on the lake, and when we lived in Northwood Estates for a couple of years, that piece of property that's on 43 that they developed probably started 5 years ago when they clear cut it, and it's just a bunch of empty lots. I mean, I don't know much about the area, but I always wonder why didn't anything ever come into that. I don't know if it's an industrial park, if it was supposed to be an industrial park, or retail, or what it was, but I've always wanted to ask that question and never knew who to ask it to.
Do y'all understand what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Is it on 43?
Off 43, right behind Northwood Estates. If you look on the back side of Northwood Estates, between Northwood Estates and 43, there's a big, anyway, I'm just curious what that was for.
Okay. Joe, you want to take that first?
Yes, sir, I'll be glad to. I don't know why that's never been developed. I know years ago, I lived here all my life, they clear cut it, put in roads, guttered it, put in sidewalks and gutters on the side.
And lights, right?
Yes, I have no idea why that's never been developed. I just, probably like everybody else here, in the back of my mind, I thought that maybe they were asking too much for the property itself and somebody didn't want to pay the price for the property.
Yeah, just one, so you can hear my comparison. Just correct. I mean, it comes down to price of property. I mean, you have to be realistic about this stuff. You know, a developer comes in, our builder is going to look at, here's what I'm coming in to do, here's what I got to pay for the property, am I going to get my return out of it? And a lot of times you look at some of this property that we all know is prime development property that's 43. Simply put, it comes down to price. That's not something we really can't control. That comes back to the way I read it.
So as a councilman, what can you do to entice somebody to develop that?
Very easily, what we can do is make it known that we are very pro-business, and we can offer incentives depending on the situation. Know that we are willing to work with you no matter what. So once the property gets sold, the developer or builder knows that the city's gonna have my back, gonna be able to help me with whatever needs it is. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. So that's a real tough line to walk right there. It's very difficult. Just take the property on 43. I'm not on 43 when you leave out Union Chapel. My family's part ownership in some of that. It's sitting vacant. I promise you, we don't want it vacant. We want it built. It's very, very difficult. Just the nature of it right now. I do think over the next several years, I wholeheartedly feel that you're going to start seeing a lot of change in that. We've got so much growth going on in the city, especially to the north. Like the mayor said, retail follows rooftops. Well, the rooftop investment has been made, no question. So I do think over the next 4 years, you're going to see a big change. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I understand.
Yes, Tracy. Let's let everybody else go. Tracy, go on.
I mean, I really, I don't have anything to add. I'm not familiar with that property or how long it's been developed or even who owns it. I mean, I agree with what everybody's saying that those are prime locations for things to go. Do is advocate that process and aid that process so that we can move it along and get it developed.
Yeah, I think as a city council and a mayor, we need to get with the landowners and somehow work out a deal to get businesses going in there. I mean, sit down and talk with them. If they're sitting vacant, it's not doing them any good. Let's get them to sell parcels of that property so we can at least get one thing going. Because if you get one thing going in Mr. Owens' property, the rest is going to build. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, to build a field, they'll come. Well, if you build one business, residential, whatever, how about a water park? You know, I'm good friends with I mean, we need something for our kids. We lost Upsurge. And that, I mean, that hurt. That hurt our kids. I heard more comments about losing Upsurge than anything, you know, recently. But I was talking with a city councilman up in Fayette, good friends with him, and he told me this. He said, Fayette's biggest fear is that Northport builds a water park because it'll shut ours down. That's what he said. But we've got to bring businesses in. We've got to talk with the landowners. I know some of us in landlocked. We need to work with the businesses down in downtown Northport. I mean, the landowners in downtown Northport. Because I think that is the key to getting something going down there and making it look attractive when you come across the bridge. When you come across that bridge, it's not attractive. Right. I go to a lot of installations, and I'm not going to get into my, you know, my career, but every time I go to an installation, and I travel a lot, every time I go outside that main post, it looks just like Burling Wallace. Title loan places, tattoo parlors, smoke shops. Nobody wants to do business in here with that kind of business here. I don't want to see title loan places. You know, they leech on to the folks that are down on their luck. And I don't like them at all. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get that out.
It's all right.
Can I add one thing to that?
Sure.
The problem is.
Can you stand up?
Yeah.
So I hear you. Thank you.
Is that the individual that started developing that, the city went in and spent a lot of money with lights and roads and stuff like that going in there. And then it's my understanding that the individual that owned that property went bankrupt. Well, and left holding the bag was the people at Biscayne Hills, because that's right in behind them. And they dug out all that red clay and all that red dirt. And now a lot of folks over there got red yards. There's one guy in Biscayne Hills that has a beautiful yard. It's concrete and it's painted green. And his green yard is now become a little bit red. And that's the problem. When we start something, we need to go ahead and finish it. You know, it's like Coach Saban always said, particularly this last year, let's finish it. And then I think we can move on and make our community much more attractive.
The only thing I would really add is that I think if we have these areas that need to be developed, that we need to talk with the property owner, if they are still on the property, and we need to identify basically a base store or business to come in. Once you have a good starter, the others will come. And we need to make some incentive to go after these folks and bring them in and sell them on Northport and bring them here and let them be the anchor. And then the others will build around it.
That's right.
Calvin, did you have a question?
Yeah, this is Northwood Lake specific, so I'm gonna be a little selfish here. This would be for District 3 and District 4, probably the mayor and probably some other, maybe the county. But this Union Chapel Road is getting more and more traffic. It's being passed through from 43 to 69. We're getting heavy trucks, haulers with dirt fill, concrete trucks. It's becoming a regular pass-through. For years, we talked with Acker and some of the other people in Northport trying to get a four-way stop here at the intersection of Northwood Lake Drive West, or some speed bumps to slow this traffic coming down the hill, or to make it no through traffic for trucks, or something of that nature. And so it's something we really need. We're going to be expanding this property here, this recreational property. We're going to be getting more use than we ever have before. We're going to be having kids passing back and forth. We've got school buses dropping off kids on Union Chapel or right off Union Chapel. So it's becoming a real hazard. And my fear is that we're going to have a terrible accident here one day because the speed's just not checked. I do know that the city's been great about policing, having time to time, but when they're gone, the speeders are out again. And nobody adheres to this 35-mile limit, nobody. And so we're going to have some real issues. So this is going to be one of the things that's going to be on our wish list to work with the council and the mayor and the city to see if we can't do something about this throughput from 43 to 69 and getting something here to slow this traffic down.
You want to take that one first?
I will. Can I?
Okay, Rob. Go ahead.
To answer that question about speed, the speed tables, okay? I had a long talk with the former District 4 City Councilman. It was about 45 minutes, and that's what I wanted, was a speed table. Not some of these that we got in Northwood Lake now. I know we need them, but what I want to do is I want to clean up the speed tables that we have now and use that composite material to put over it to make it attractive, because some of these, the last John Myers, he was a councilman here. He had one put in right up here on Indian Springs Avenue, and the first time his wife drove over it, it tore the oil pan out. It's too big. It's too big. It needs to be more attractive. But I would like to see a three-way stop right here, or a four-way, since we have it coming across the pole. You put a speed table out here, but as soon as you put a speed table in, you're going to start getting calls for 25 other speed tables throughout, Northwood Lake. So if we stop them right here, and there's another issue right up here at the top of the hill. I've asked for it and hadn't received it yet, but there needs to be a spacer putting some of these manhole covers to bring them up level with the surface of the road, or grind the surface down. Right up here at the top of the road, I was sitting up here talking with Mr. Kimbrell one day, and a landscape vehicle with a trailer behind it, and it sounded like a wreck. We need to bring those up level with the road, or either grind them down even with the tops of the sewers. But yes, I'm putting a four-way stop right out here. That'll slow them down, because you can get out a policeman out here and write tickets all day. 2 weeks later, they don't show up, they're going to speed again. But that'll stop them right here.
Joe, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Hey, that's a good question. What I'd like to do if elected is your councilman, I've said this before, I'd like to go over the first couple of months, assign a city engineer to look at the traffic problems, such as resurfacing the roads, stop signs, yield signs, speed bumps. But as far as the red lights, you could also do that and help you too. That even if you had to do get with ALDOT and do a traffic survey through the state.
The way I would address that, I don't live in Northwood Lake. I don't have family that lives here. But the one thing that I've been saying throughout the campaign is that I want to listen to you. So the fact that you bring your concerns to me, I consider it my responsibility to do my due diligence to make sure that we can meet those needs. And if that's a need that Northwood Lake has, then it's something that we need to address. I don't know why it hasn't been addressed in the past. I don't know if anyone's given you any reason about why a speed tables haven't been installed, or a traffic sign hasn't been installed. But I would definitely run that rabbit for you and see what we can do to get that done.
I think that there was some work done before, but what we got out of it, instead of a stop sign like we wanted, we got these two blinking light things and a crosswalk. And I can tell you that my experience has been there are a few courteous people that will see you at the crosswalk and slow down and let them cross. The rest of them
The
won't.
rest of them just keep on going.
So these things really, to
Are
me,
not
are a
effective.
waste. Waste of money, waste of time, waste of effort.
Well, you know, you guys live here, and these are your issues. They're what you're experiencing every day, and you're the eyes and ears, and you know, I'm going to rely on you to tell me what you need.
My wife is not a politician, and she's not one that gets up and gets outspoken. But let me tell you something. I live on the other end of Union Chapel Road. My Union Chapel goes from the service station over to Money Sofa Park. And the roads are narrow. They're not wide. And Frida started calling the police and have them come over there and watch. And what was happening, a lot of these big trucks use it as a shortcut. They don't have to go very far, and they can run through here, and we don't have to, you know. Well, she started calling the police department. And they would come over and slow the trucks down and make them kind of behave themselves a little bit. But about every 6 months, they'd have to do some paving over there because they tore up the road. I mean, big holes in the road. The curbs on the side of the road were worn off.
30 more seconds.
Well, anyway, she kept calling and kept calling and kept calling, and what happened, they finally decided, maybe we better stop that. So one of the things, if you'll kind of bug your council and the police department to stick up some no through traffic and no trucks. There's a big sign up there now that says no trucks. And I think that'd help a lot.
Anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I agree exactly about the speed tables. I'm pretty sure there's a procedure for it, as in a petition and stuff like that. I believe holding your council accountable when those monthly or quarterly meetings you have with it, get a chance to voice your opinion about it. Because besides this road, there's other places. I've asked about the same thing. You know, when those apartments came up on 28, everybody cutting through that. But you know, one thing we have to look at really, also fire trucks and everything. But also, you're gonna have a lot of neighbors who ain't gonna want those, believe it or not, because they want to speed. But I agree with you 100%. I have a grandbaby playing in the yard. To me, every neighborhood, every street that's a real issue of safety should get them. No matter what, if enough people say that they want them, everybody should get them. You know, because trust me, these trucks will stop coming through there. They have to stop 10 times.
Absolutely.
They won't come through. Y'all might not drive that road if you had to stop 10 times. So traffic will slow up. Just all depends on the numbers you put in there.
I want to answer a couple of questions. First of all, Rodney, if you'll remind me, we'll see what this street is classified as, and if we could, if it's a certain classification, probably put up the signs that says no trucks. That's one thing we can do. As far as this intersection right here, I don't know why we can't go ahead and put a four-way stop now out here. As far as speed tables, I don't like them. I know our fire department and our first responders don't like them. But as far as the four-way stop right here, I think we can do it. Talking about Mr. Owen's property up on 43, I picked up probably 10 different groups of developers from all across the country wanting to come to Northport at the airport. And I drive them around. We look at Mr. Owen's property, but to all of them, that piece of property is hidden. You know, you're on 82, you have to come over the hill, and to them, that property is hidden. That, along with the price that he wants with it, to a person, those developers have said it's not cost effective for us, and it's not where we want to be. Eventually, somebody will be there, and it'll go.
One thing on that property, my thoughts about that is, the city of Northport must market different areas. If we have 12 different spots in Northport that can be developed, we need to take that in the marketing plan. And when we go out, we open up our folder and say, we have this property, this property, this property. We have to go to the developers and talk to them and let them know, hey, you know, we're gonna work for you, try to get somebody here, but you gotta work with us also. So to me, you have to have a plan on the different properties. You know, you have to have a plan, and whenever you go out looking for different business to come in, you have something to show them and offer. But that's marketing. So.
Joe?
Yes, sir. Can I just add something about Mr. Owens' property? Councilman Sullivan said it right himself. Woodrow just said it too. You gotta have a plan. Rodney said it. Incentives. What if the city went in, and I'm in favor of this, what if the city went in and ran water and sewer lines to it for any new business that come in, and then dropped the tap on it? Councilman Sullivan's right.
All right, any other questions? Frank, did you want to handle that? You want to talk about that one?
Well, I mean, as far as that piece of property goes, Bobby was right about that. I was riding around with the developers, got property here in Northport and Tuscaloosa yesterday, and we were just riding around and ate lunch, and I asked him about this piece of property, that piece of property. He said, no, they want too much money. He said, I can't get the price out of the people who, you know, the least money out of them to pay for it. So that property will probably sit there until somebody, you know, breaks it loose and drops the price. And another problem is just like you talked about, the demographics of that area are not the best in the world. And they look closely at demographics. And you might think it is good, but it is not good.
Any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have a twofold problem, actually. We live right up the street, and I'm glad that this young man brought up the problem of the speed, the manhole covers that are sunken. We've had numerous almost heart attacks, I have, you know, from the noise that comes from that. But we have another problem on my street, too, and it's kind of maybe specific to me, but I understand that the city of Northport pays somebody to monitor the height of grass and this kind of thing. And I worked for a long time, and I worked a long day, but I still managed to keep my yard neat and whatnot out of respect for my neighbors. And have a specific problem with two neighbors below me that for the last 2 or 3 years, if I don't want their grass to be 5 feet tall, literally weeds, I have pictures to prove it, I've got to call the police department because I understand Northwood Lake no longer has covenants that would cover this kind of thing. Out of respect for Northwood Lake, I also take care of that island that's in front of my house. I don't have to, but I do because I want our neighborhood to look good. At one time, this was the premier neighborhood in the county, and I see it going down a lot. A lot of it is condition of a lot of people's yards.
So I'm sorry, what's your question?
My point is, do we have somebody that is to monitor the grass, the weeds, and are they doing their job? They're certainly not. The two houses below me, they had two houses below me, they had to bring a bush hog in a couple of weeks ago. Literally a bush hog. That's how bad it was. Now, poison oak is rampant, and I understand this is a wooded area, hence the name, but I don't want to have to call the police every 2, 3, 4 months and say, please do something about this. I have a granddaughter who cannot be called a neatnik, but she walked into my house and she looked next door and she said, oh my God, they need to clean that place up. The weeds are literally 5 feet tall. So can we, if we pay somebody, can we get it done?
Let's get the answers.
We do. We have 4 people in charge of that. We have a very strong policy against weed ordinance here in the city of Northport. We have a code enforcement officer, 2 inspectors, and our planning director. Every one of them are on board with handling your item. The problem is, there's only 4 people and 25,000 residents in the city of Northport. It takes citizens like you to call it in. You know, same thing as in my dude. They don't get out. They can't get out and ride around and just look for tall grass. So if you were simply reported You can call his name. Scott Stevens is our planning director. It's that simple. They put on a list, it goes to bid, and they handle all of that. So it's very simple to get done now. We have a smooth process in place. You know, I wouldn't suggest calling the police, although that is one way to do it. You can
What
call
was this guy's name again?
Scott Stevens.
Do you know his
He's
phone number?
you can call City Hall, ask for Mr. Stevens or somebody. You can just mention to the employee. Like I said, we have several folks that handle all that, and we've just, as the mayor will tell you, we've redone that policy. We were having problems with getting it taken care of in a timely manner. We've completely overhauled all of that, and it gets done very, very swiftly now. So a lot of changes have been made to that. So I do realize some areas may, you know, take a little bit longer to get to. It's a lot of areas, a lot to cover. So we bid some of that out now, so it can get done in a lot quicker fashion.
Well, my thing is that this guy will cut in the center of his yard to appease the letterer or whatever he has gotten. But Poison Oak is coming over my fence from his yard, and we let him pound our fence, big mistake. But there's really no care, and
Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say, unfortunately, sometimes it comes down to a little bit of personal responsibility, you know.
well, he's not there a lot.
Yeah.
I would say that.
But I would highly suggest getting with some of our staff. They do a great job of handling all that stuff.
Calvin?
Yeah, what we can do, Rodney, we'll put that information on our website.
I'll give you names and numbers of everything you need, no problem.
And what we do have covenants, but our covenants are very similar to what the cities are. So what we try to do when we've got a situation that's kind of untenable like that, we try to work with the city to get it done, rather than for us to go and try to get legal action on the thing, because that delays things and it doesn't really help anything. So there are a number of properties, just to let you folks know, in Northwood Lake that are derelict, and that we probably will be talking with you guys real soon about them, trying to get them resolved. So we've got one right up here in the curve, and we've got one right down in here on Northwood Lake Drive west, and we've got several lots where one house burned not long ago. These lots have become overgrown and unmanageable, and with the mosquito problem that we have, those types of things that need to be handled, and we'll be working with the city to do that. But yeah, we'll get that information up and running and get it communicated to you. So we can do that.
My phone number's 339-7000.
There you go.
Did you get that? Did you get his phone number?
that's the one I've called.
Okay. And call us too. Call one of the board of directors and tell us the address. We'll call them also.
Absolutely.
Maybe two people call in and get it done faster. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have one question regarding the education, and since Mayor Herndon is the only one who is for the city, for an own or independent school system, on one hand, this is a very tempting idea. On the other hand, I would wonder if that is that only a dream, or is that something you actively pursue? If that comes closer to realization, if we would get to that, would you ask input of the residents, whether that's really what they want or not? And yeah, how would that be with Board of Education, transportation, and the pockets that where you have a neighbor that needs to be to the county, and then all around them are some kids would go to the city school?
The question was asked, was I in favor of a city school system? Yes, I am. Am I trying to push it on anybody? No. Do I get a vote? No. But I'm going to tell you why I'm for a city school system. It might take me 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Every year, as mayor, I go out to Las Vegas for the International Shopping Center Convention. There's 37,000 people in that one building. Everybody, developers, hotels, restaurants, big box stores, everybody is in that building. For the last 5 years, I say 5 years ago, I was walking, I met a lot of folks, and they remember me the year before. Hey, Mayor, you got your school system yet? I said, no, we don't have our own school system. You know it's killing you. And okay, thank you. And I get that 4 or 5 times a day. Well, 3 years ago, I'd get it 4 or 5 times a day, and I'd ask them, okay, explain to me why it's killing us. And they know everything, those folks know everything about Northport, Alabama. Okay, Mayor, here we go. Real quick. You got 25,000 citizens in Northport. Yes. Okay, you're part of a county school system. Yes. I said they do a great job. Okay, that's beside the point. You're part of, how many cities are in your county school system? 1. Okay. what's the next largest community in Tuscaloosa County school system? They already knew the answer. They said Brookwood, didn't it? I said, I think so. You got 25,000 citizens. Brookwood has 2,000 citizens. Well, people like us look at Northport, Alabama, just like we do at Brookwood, Alabama. You're not strong enough, you're not vibrant enough, you're not ambitious enough, you can't support, you can't take care of your own children. That's how we look at you. Okay, you got a county school board. He said, how many cities in population above Northport are there that don't have their own school system? And I thought, he said, there's one. There's one school, one city larger than Northport, Alabama that doesn't have its own school system. He said, Mayor, as go the schools, so grows the city. He said, right now, he said, you got a 7-member county school board. I said, yes. He said, you got 1 member of that school board that lives in the city limits of Northport. I said, yes. He said, Mayor, you need Northport citizens making decisions on locations of Northport schools, taking care of the needs of the students of Northport, Alabama. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized he was right. I got nothing against the county school system. You know, they've been great to my wife, my late wife, my present wife. All our children graduated from Tuscaloosa County High School. I love the county school system. But if you see on some of my billboards, I want Northport to be first. I want to put Northport first. And if we got somebody else that right now with that Northport middle school, the new middle school, should have been built 4 years ago. 4 years ago, it was on the 5-year plan. Today, it's not on any plan. The new middle school is not on any plan. We did new elementary school in that location. We're growing so rapidly. But, yes, sir, the county school board has to they've got a job to do, and I appreciate it. They've got to take care of the whole county. And they can't just look at Northport, Alabama. We need people looking just at Northport, Alabama. Like I said, I don't get a vote. I'm not going to push it on anybody. The citizens one of these days are going to come up and say we want to vote on it. I know that, but that's why I said I'm for it.
All right, one more question.
I wanted to ask about that city school system. Don't we pay taxes into the county? How would that affect our taxes? Will we be paying county taxes and a city tax to have our own school system?
We would get the properties, we get the buildings, we get the buses that service the schools, the teachers don't lose their tenure, we get the proportionate amount of money that's being spent now. And I know we did a study 3 years ago. If you can get me a name and number, I'll get you that study. I don't remember the numbers right off the bat.
So are you saying they'll allocate the money from what the taxes we're already paying, that it won't be an additional tax?
I can't remember exactly what it said, and I apologize for that, but if I can get that study and give it to you.
Okay, because I mean, that'll kind of help me with making the decision.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if we're already paying taxes into a school system, why would we add an extra tax just to have our own school system? So if you could get us more information, it'll help us, you know,
like I said, nothing's going to happen anytime soon. Like I said, whether I get mayor this time or mayor next time, I don't see it happening in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years. But eventually, the citizens of Northport are going to say, we want to take charge of our city. That we want to take charge of our students.
Sorry, Donna wants to respond.
I can appreciate the fact that we want to take care of our students over and above everybody else, and we are the tax base for the county school system. However, what you're asking about the finances, there is no way we can have a school system without our taxes going up. The city of Tuscaloosa pays 21 mills property tax for their schools. The county pays 9 mills. You cannot equate a school system with 9 mills to 21 mills. No way. The state money that is allocated to the school system is allocated on the population of that school system. At this point, the county school gets, at the last time I heard, was 68% of state funds. The city gets 32% because that is what numbers they have. There is no way we can have a school system financially without our tax base going to me at least 21 mills, and I am not willing for that to happen at this point. A school system, a budget, you can never count on it being what you think it's going to be, because you have a superintendent, sometimes you got to let go and you got to pay them. You have coaches or principals or teachers that you gotta let go, we not only assume their buildings, we assume their debt. And we got to pay that debt, and we can't pay it with 9 mil property tax. All right,
So it will go up.
It will go up, you can count on it.
And before anything is done, there'd be, meetings, citizens get all the information. It'd be up to citizens to vote. It wouldn't be me, it wouldn't be a council, wouldn't be any of the candidates running. It'd be up to the people to come up and say, let's investigate it, let's vote on it. But like I said, for me, knowing what I know, yes, I'm in favor of it, but I don't get a vote.
All right, we'll take one more question.
I make a point to add to what they're saying. The previous study was so full of holes that I'm wondering how much water would pour through it. It was terrible. Okay. The estimate was that it would cost $12 to $15 million in addition to every penny Northport City could scrap up just to begin the school. And that was true facts that are documented and can be backed up. The city would not call, let me just say, the city or nobody else on the council would call a meeting, so this is the first time any citizen in Northport's had a chance to stand up before anybody else and even mention the Northport City Schools.
Do we have a question on something else?
No, I just wanted to make a point to follow up on that.
Do we have any more questions? Well, all right, I want to thank the candidates for coming out. And if y'all want to stick around and answer one-on-one questions, it's fine. And thanks for everybody for showing up.
Water.
Yeah, we have to put a bottle of water.